dumbbell front raisers. Another walkthrough requested by you all. Johnny, how do you do a dumbbell front raise properly? It's a great question because people wondering how to either do them for the chest or do them for the delts, the front delts, or are you doing for the front delts anyway? Should you be doing underhand grip, supinated? Should you do pronated? There's all these questions in the world, and I'm gonna show you guys what I do for me to target my chest and my delts. Now again, I'm always going to base my technique around injury. So the more I can keep my shoulders in a stable position, the better it's going to be for me. So the less of this stuff happening when I'm lifting, the better. And I don't really know anyone does that anyway, but regardless, my job is to make sure when I'm doing any type of accessory work, the place that it's originating from is doing all of what it needs to do. So again, we're looking at like front raises, whether it's a lateral raise, whether it's your back, whether it's your chest, all it's doing is pulling this bone a bunch of different places. Lateral raises lift this bone, right? Rear delts help pull this thing back like this, and other little muscles, right? Rhomboids, whatever, right? Your shoulder also helps with doing this, right? Like if you look at like my hand, this is as high as I can go, right? My shoulder is gonna basically do this. It's gonna pull this bone this way. My lats are gonna pull my arm down like this, and my chest is gonna do this. That's all chest, guys. Understanding what is happening and where it's originating from is gonna give you a better understanding on how to move the muscle. So we're not thinking about the typical thing to do is, right, I got something in my hand and that's what's doing all the work. All I gotta do is make sure this thing goes up. It happens. Like front raises are like this, or it's like you got this stuff, you just got a bunch of movement of the hands. You know, everything is like originated from here because it makes sense because you're picking things up, you feel it the most. And must be what does all the lifting. It's not. This is just the accessory that comes from here. Otherwise, we have a little hand here. And I worked with someone who literally had a hand here. I'm dead serious. So this is where I kind of got most of this from. When I was training at the old gym I was working at pre-COVID, there was a gentleman that came in and bought sessions, and he came into the shed. We had this little trailer place that people came in. The gym wasn't even made yet, and we were convincing people to buy memberships. You understand, like middle of the winter time, there's a brother sitting inside of a trailer. I'm like, hey man, join the gym. He's like, where's it at? It's not made yet, but it will be, right? So anyway, a guy came in and he had a birth defect. And he was like, can I still train my chest? Can I still train back? How are we gonna do these things? And I had to explain to him, this is what's doing the majority of anything when it comes to lifting upper body, right? So we want to imagine or think about everything starting from here. So I'll walk you guys through, what does that feel like? Okay, a couple of things, right? If I'm doing shoulder flexion, my chest and my front delt are going to help pull this thing up. For me to lift up here, I know that I'm gonna hang this entire thing on this. That's why my arm's limp, right? It's just a little noodle. For me to pick this thing up, I know that I'm flexing my chest. If I flex my chest, it's gonna naturally do this, just flexing your chest. Now if I wanna bring it up, I have to flex my chest and pull my arm up from here. Now if you can see my delt is working from here. Now, the closer I am inside with my chest working, the closer my body is into midline, is the more my chest is doing adduction. So it's doing adduction. If I start to adduct and pull it out more, now I'm forcing that load going from the front delt, which is this, right? If you look, front delt, pec. Hey guys, do you have any questions about nutrition, supplementation, or mental health? Book a 30-minute video call with me, and at the end of that call, I deduct it off any online coaching package that you pick. From pulling from here, my delt is engaged, my front delt. The closer into my body, the more adduction from the chest I have to do. Then the further out this arm goes, my anterior head of my delt is still active. It's active all the way out to the side. Now, if I flip my hand to pronation, my lateral half of my delt is doing a little more of the work. It's joining the party. But if I want to just hit this part, I'm gonna pull it in close. Now, if I wanna work this part only, and I say only just because very loosely, you can't just isolate your muscle completely. I can't be like, front delt only, that's it, turn off everything else. It doesn't work like that. My chest is still going to help pull this muscle up because that's what the pec minor does, your clavicle head of your pec. It's gonna do this regardless, going to help with it, but my front delt is gonna do most of the work. So either being like this or like this is doing the work. If I wanna work my chest more, and I need to like really, put some extra work in to make sure the clavicle head of my pec starts to blend in with my front delt, because for the most part, you either have lack of front delts and your chest overruns everything, or you have a lack of a chest and your front delt overruns everything, and it's usually that point. So for those who are bodybuilders, anyone who just wants to fill in the gap up here, we want to do your front raise to here. We're getting the best of both worlds. We're keeping this as a front delt / chest upper pec exercise from here. Now, if I do a little bit of this, it's not gonna change much. You're just externally rotating it a bit and you're just still working that same area. So when I'm doing lifts, my goal is to not have any momentum, right? If you have to, a couple of guys make some points of how to do certain movements and how to feel the weight and throwing the weight away. Mike Van Wyck does a technique that I do with front raises, but it's something I find is it's similar to somewhat advanced, because not many people can think about, doing this and throwing it away. Like right now, I'm working my front delt. Even though there's a bit of a swing at the bottom, I'm controlling my center of mass. You watch me from the back, I'm controlling my center of mass, and on the way down, I'm actually stretching the muscle at the bottom, right? And using a little momentum to come up and then drive it down. Or we can just go to the front and just push up here, or go out wider from here. But in this case, I'm looking at this part of my body, my front delt and pec minor. So my technique form is gonna come from the base of the floor. I'm grounded into the floor. I'm gonna do one at a time, and I'm letting this weight pull me down, right? Naturally, when we hold things in our hands, our body's gonna do this. It's naturally gonna do that. So we have to be conscious to say that, that when I pick something up, my traps are gonna help me out. Let them pull you down. Shoulders back away from your ears at here. Letting your arms kind of stay relaxed. Flex it a little bit. And then you're gonna flex your pec. Your pec is going to flex up while you lift up the arm to here. And then back down. I have to flex my pec. I know when I'm doing this movement that I'm going to have to flex my chest as well as flex my arm. Now, to make sure that I don't have my shoulder or arm doing this, I'm flexing my chest, and that part of the chest that I'm flexing is gonna be not only at the top, but it's also gonna be at the bottom when we're doing our rows. So if you look at right now, where I'm at, this is the top of my chest, pulling my arm in. This is the bottom of my chest, pulling it down. So when I start raising it up, everything stays low, and my traps stay out of the equation. Now, again, when I'm pulling up, I actually feel the weight pushing into my toes. Like I am gripping my toes in the floor. I'm literally gonna show you this. You guys are like, there's so much stuff to think about, Johnny, what the hell? I'm like, just don't, rewatch this video a bazillion times. Take one cue at a time. But for me, from floor to core, if you just watch my lift from here, when I do one at a time, I'm literally gripping my feet in the floor. That is giving me stability. Like literally my center of mass is starting from me being up here and driving my toes in the floor and sitting my butt back. That's giving me leverage to pull the weight up without momentum. And I'm here, here, here. Like every part I'm lifting if I need to, and I feel all of this in my shoulder, front delt, pec, and from the floor. It's letting me keep leverage and stability when I'm pulling. So I'm feeling my legs, my toes are gripping on the floor, keep my legs locked in, almost like I'm the top of a lift of a squat. I'm tight from the core, and I'm pulling up. And I'll like lean a little bit to one side just to do a little more of like, you know, range of motion and to kind of just give a little more body English to make it feel a little better. I'm not doing this stuff. It's just a little bit of movement, up and up. I mean, come higher if we have to. Either way, when I'm pulling, no matter if I'm doing it pronated or I'm doing it neutral or supinated, I know that when I'm doing this lift, it's going to come from this part of my pec to help pull down, this part of my chest to help pull in, and then this part of my delt to pull up. So it's doing this. It's a joint effort to isolate. Now, if I want to isolate this even more, I'm just going to pull this out a little further. And then when the further out I go this way, I want to add in my lateral head of my delt, so I'm going to go more pronated. So when I'm pulling out, I'm in that lateral raise by this point. So you can still work your front delts and your chest from here, here, and here. Further out from that, you're starting to work basically your lateral head. And that's how you do dumbbell front raises to hit your pec and your front delts. It'll work for you guys. And you want me to break this down even more, let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing.